Alright YouTube, in this video I'm going to show you how to create this food recipe using JavaScript. Now we are going to fetch these data which you see in the form of grid from an API called edmam. So I'll leave the link of this API in the description. I have signed in and I have got the API. Now whatever recipe I would like, if I type fish, I would get the result of the fish. If I type chicken, I would get the recipe of chicken. If I type pizza, and I'll get the recipe of pizza. So you're getting the pizza recipe name along with the link, so that where you can watch the recipe and create. Fine. Now just to show you the HTML, I will be building the JavaScript, and I will leave the source code in the description to follow along. Now this is a basic bootstrap template. You can see these are the links of the CDN, and at the bottom I have my custom external style sheet, external JavaScript, which I will be creating from scratch. I'll comment it. I'll be creating it from scratch. We have a form which is responsible for sending the data to the API. So if you see, we have a form with action nothing, and I have one input field and submit button, and that's it. And additionally I have added some bootstrap classes to look good, and then I have a div. This div is for showing the results. So if I show you the first, the HTML, this is a card body. This is a row. Inside the row I have a card. Inside the card body, this is where our actual data is. The first is the image, and the second is the dish name, and the third is the link and the calories. I have added some bootstrap classes. I'm not getting into it. I'm just looking to create the JavaScript. Fine. That's good for the explanation of HTML. To follow along, I will leave this link, I will leave the code in the description. Fine, let's get into the JavaScript. Since we have placed our JavaScript at the bottom, so it is okay to write. If you place your script at the top, it would be a problem. Now we are starting it. The very first thing what I need is, I need the form. So to get the form, since we have only one form in the input field, I'll be using document.query selector, which is form, and I'm going to store it into a variable. And in this form I'm going to add a event listener, which is submit. Add event listener, submit, and I will get the event console.log, and if I can get the event, and in the event I want the target, and in the target I want to find the query selector, and in the query with the help of query selector I need to find input of this form, and I need the value. Now this line, what it will do is, it will get the value whatever we type over here. So this is a console which is actually full of full fresh. It has no messages. Now let's type hello, and I click on submit. Actually the one thing what is going to happen is, if you click on submit, the page is going to refresh. So to stop that, what I'll do is e.prevent default. So we are going to prevent default behavior of the browser, which is refresh on clicking submit. So if I click on submit, the page is not getting refreshed. The actual data you can see here. Now let me type some other thing. I zoom in a bit to make you a clear view. Now I added my channel name. Now you can see the channel name over here. So fine. Now let's store this input field value into a variable. Fine. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to fetch data from API. It's a function. I'm going to create it. So let's create a function. So this function will have base URL. So this is the URL where you are going to fetch the actual API. So the URL, you can get it on the documentation. So this is the actual URL. So in this URL, with this URL, you are going to pass the query, which is the value which you are getting from the input field. This is the input field value. I'm passing it to the as a parameter for this function. I'm getting the input value, and I am again passing it to the URL. I have not used the single quotes. It's actually a backtick which is above your escape, which is below your escape key. Fine. Now you're not just passing the input field value, you need to pass two more things, which is app ID, which is this is how you are going to pass, and again one more thing, and we need app API key, which you will get the app ID and API key from the link which I will leave in the description. So this is the app ID which you'll get after signing in. You see, I have signed in. I got the app ID and I got the application key as well. Now, with the help of JavaScript fetch function, I'm passing this base URL. Since it's an API, we need to use await, Control V. I'm going to store it into a variable called result. Let me add semicolon. Fine. Now we have stored the value in the result. Now the result, if I show you, if there is no error, we should see the result over here. Actually, we have an error which says await. Actually, it's awaits. Actually, we need to pass the async, ASYNC. It's not await, it's async. The async would come here, and here it is going to be await. Now let's see whether we are getting the proper result. Unexpected identifier at line 45. Let's see what it is. I'm so sorry, the async would come here as a function. Type anything, click on submit. On the console, is not defined. I think this is not defined, it is saying. So let's store it into a variable called app underscore ID, and we'll use a variable here, and then app underscore key. We'll create app underscore key. Now let's check. It is blank. Pizza, click submit, and we are getting the data. Now if you see, we are getting the data, but it's not in the JSON format. We have to convert this data into JSON format. To convert it, what you have to do is you have to convert this result into JSON, and let's store it into a variable called datas. And again we need to write await here. And now if you see, on submit, we're getting the JSON value. Now what we are going to do is we just need the value hits. Hits is actually an array. So what we do is we're going to generate an HTML, and we need to pass the array which is which you can see at the console. Data dot hits. Data is actually the whole JSON, and hits is the array. So let's create this function. So we have the result. Actually it's a results collection of array. So I'm going to initialize a value show in HTML. So it's a string which will hold the HTML. So get the array and use the map function of the array to get individual array element, and this string you are going to populate the HTML backticks, and in between those we are going to pass the HTML which I have described. So fine, now this result can be accessed over here, dollar result dot, if you see result dot recipe, inside the recipe you have the label. Now let's check. It will not work. It will fetch all the data and store this into a blank variable, and I want to populate this HTML into the div which is here. So document dot query selector dot inner HTML equal to, then use this pizza, click submit, and if you see the title is dynamic. Just like the title, I need the image to be different. So for the image inside the recipe, we have images. It's here, at a time image. Now you could see the image. I type pizza, you can see you are by default getting the 10 result. To make it 3 or 4 you need to pass and 2 equal to 3, or let's say 4. I like the 4. So if I type and click submit, you will get the 4 value. These parameter I am getting this from the documentation. So that's it, our work is almost done. So here you can write text truncate. It's a bootstrap class. All your thing will be in the, all your label will be the single line. So you can use the character just like where we can get here, it's in the recipe, then here you will get the calories. Just copy this and paste it. The actual, it is calories. If you see the calorie is too long, it is getting continued even after the decimal. So to stop the value after the decimal value 2, that means to stop the value after this point, I need the 2 values after the point. So that's the reason why I have added 2 fixed. And just like that you can give the href as well. So here you can see these are the 2 links to the recipe. So let's give the URL. Let's check. Egg. The calories, you can see the calories, and if you click on the recipe, it's actually redirecting to the website for the recipe. That's all for this video. Get the source code in the description.